Welcome to this episode of the Joyful Scaling Podcast. You know, social media gets a lot of attention today as a go-to marketing tool. And it's certainly true that social platforms provide an opportunity that simply didn't exist years ago, the opportunity to reach literally millions around the world. But here's the deal. How can you use your social media efforts to get results and actually create clients? Well, my guest today is here to offer 6 essential social media strategies to do exactly that. I want to introduce you to Heather Hyman. She's a beautiful sister in Christ. She's a digital missionary, social media strategist, international speaker, and author with 22 years experience in sales, social media, and business. Heather has helped over 75 brands, and she's the founder and host of the Business, Jesus, and Sweet Tea podcast. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Thank you so much, Judy. I love this opportunity to just sit down and connect and hang out with you.
Yeah, spending time with you. I've been looking so forward to this, and finally the day is here.
Yay.
Well, thank you for that. Listen, I would love for you to share a little bit about your background for those that may not know you. Like, what have you done before doing this important work of social media strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's really no other way than to actually just go back. But I'll tell you that I used to be a special education teacher. So 22 years ago, I was a teacher in the classroom and really just had some personal, kind of really traumatizing circumstances happen in my own life. And I found myself having been a teacher, having been married, to really in the span of a 2-minute conversation, I had the person that I was married to come home and say I didn't meet their needs physically, emotionally, spiritually, or intellectually, and they wanted me to move out. And since he was in a doctorate program and we lived on campus in married housing, I literally found myself literally instantly like just devastated. And also at the same time having to go, I've got to move, get out and go somewhere. And where am I going? And so that really hard time in my life led me to this wild journey that I really feel God was with me through every single detail. But I ended up moving from Georgia to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and I got a job in retail. I loved it. It was really fantastic, but I was working 60 hours a week. I was alone and I was just wanting, quote, for me, what was normal. So I ended up meeting the owner of a digital marketing agency who needed an office manager. And normal to me meant I wanted to work Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. At the time, that's what I was like going after and chasing. So I ultimately took an $18,000 pay cut, got that normal job. And that really was the pivotal piece of how I actually got to where I am today. But I ended up going on this journey of about a 2.5-year window. I went from office manager to project manager to graphic designer to web designer and the whole start of the whole .com era. And I loved it. And I ultimately went on to later get remarried. And my husband and I, Wayne, have 3 kids. We've been a military family. We've moved all around. But on that journey, I ended up in 2010 getting a master's degree, starting my first company in 2010. And I ultimately used Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to build that business from just an idea in my head to a multiple 6-figure business. And then we ended up moving. And what I found to be really cool is that God just opened up doors for what I was doing as a desperate, like bootstrapper, like I need marketing and I'm going to use these tools. To businesses began reaching out to me saying, can you help us? So what really just started out as my personal love of online marketing, love of people, and love of connecting through relationships, it evolved into God opening the doors in 2014 when we moved again to my hometown in South Carolina to really creating my Sweet Tea social marketing company, which is where I really felt God was saying, go be a digital missionary. You shine with your marketing love to those people that's not necessarily their strength. And then by you helping others that are already in business, and if they love Jesus, you and your marketing are then going to be able to help them amplify Jesus. So that's
Wow.
really the only way I can tell that story is that's how I got right here.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I cannot even imagine that moment, that shock when, like you say, your life changed in that moment. And it's beautiful to see God weaved throughout it. He was there. He had you every way. And also on a personal note, my first job out of college was in retail.
Mm.
And then I quickly moved up to management and I loved it. But yeah, you work a lot of hours. So it's kind of insane. And also you were an office manager. Before I went to law school, I don't know if I ever mentioned this on the podcast. I was a secretary. I worked 3 jobs before I went to law school because I wanted to pay off my undergrad. I wanted to pay off my car and just get out of debt. So isn't it funny? We're very similar.
I know. I love it.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some things here. God is your CEO, but you still need to show up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think that so often when people are just wanting to get out there, especially with social media marketing, no matter the platform, that I think that as believers, we need to be operating differently in how we strategize and how we are boldly willing to show up and do things. So, God is our CEO. And I feel that when we have that mindset, and we know that and we really believe that to our core, it just makes it a little more comfortable to be able to be willing to take risks and to go out and to try. So at the same time that God is our CEO, we have to be willing to do the work. We've got to be willing to show up. And I don't say that in a hustle mentality, because I am all about create a business that supports the life that you want. So for me, that means my family and flexibility are very, very important to the structure of what I'm trying to create. But it also means I don't think as believers we should be lazy and be almost having this, I want to do the least amount possible, but instead say, I want to work as smartly as possible with these skills that God's given me. And so that oftentimes, may mean that you have to get out of your comfort zone. So when I say show up, that means be willing to allow yourself to be uncomfortable.
I love that. And it's so true. We are so like-minded. It's crazy because for me, I never liked the word hustle. Like
I
maybe
hate
I
it.
was 20 and loved to, I was young and I still have a lot of energy. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but if I was young, hustle might be a word that resonates with me. But I came to the online space only about 5 years ago. And I never liked that. I never understood why somebody would try to get that way of living because it's not fun. I'll take ease over hustle every day of the week. So thank
Yes.
you so much for sharing that. It's so true. And I really want to emphasize what you said earlier, which is as believers, we've got to stop playing small and we really have got to walk our talk. We say we believe that the Lord God can do everything. Okay, great. Then why are you afraid to make that offer? Why are you afraid to go on video, which we're going to go to in a second? Why are you afraid of anything? Like, it's like, I'm doing this. God put me on mission with this business and I'm going all in. So I really appreciate you, going that way and thinking in those terms and emphasizing that in our interview today. Let's talk about leveraging video. I think too many times we can think, oh, I don't have the right equipment. Or I'm not techie. I hear that all the time. So let's address that right now and nip it in the bud.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if you haven't heard this, or I hope that you've experienced it, you are able to make such faster connections with other people, to include potential clients, when you are willing to do video. And so it doesn't matter if Instagram is your platform or if LinkedIn is platform, or the list goes on and on. I just want people to realize that with the phone that's in your back pocket or that is sitting next to you right now has fantastic quality to be able to record you really showing your authority about what it is that you know and getting that mixed into your marketing messages effective today. And so for anyone that's listening that has a fear of perfection, or you are a perfectionist, or you're worried about what people think, I am just here to tell you from a marketing perspective to say that you've got a decision that you can leverage video or not. But if you lean towards being willing to just do it, I can tell you two things. One, every single video will get easier for you to do. And two, you will gain confidence every single time you flex that video muscle. And you are just allowing for people to have a better idea of who you are so they can know that you may be exactly the solution that they need.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. And I think the first time you and I chatted, Heather, it's just one example. I think it was by phone, but here we are looking at each other. It's just a whole different thing because you can see their mannerisms. You can even get a feel for like their decorating style, which may sound silly, but it's points of connection and it's points of relatability. And so, yeah, that is so true. Ladies, if there is anybody listening to this right now who has never gone live, I want you to grab that pen and paper, and I want you to make a commitment to yourself. I will go live this week, period. And it could be 3 minutes. We could just quick go on, quick go off, and I'm talking live. I'm not even talking doing a video. So maybe we want to soft step that, but really just go for it, ladies, because Lord knows I stumble in my words, but it's okay. The message still gets out. It's showing up. So that is such a great reminder. Let's talk about what you call the golden strategy on social media. Yeah.
Yes.
Visibility with intention. Tell us more.
Yeah. So visibility with intention, because if you have heard it, that visibility is power, visibility is important. If you are visible, then people have a chance to see you, to know you, getting more eyeballs on your business. That all sounds well and good. But what I want you to know is that there needs to be an intention behind the visibility that you're pursuing. Because if you aren't, you have the possibility of really just being that person that is just adding to the noise. You also have the possibility of feeling completely deflated because you're on this hamster wheel of do. I'm trying to check all the boxes. I'm trying to do all the things that all the people say. And you fall probably prey to this idea of imposter syndrome or the shiny object syndrome of trying to do all the things and being all the places. So what I always tell my clients when we're sitting down or if I'm creating a strategy plan for a brand is I'm always telling them, what are your business goals? Okay, that's what you want to accomplish from your business. Okay, let's say, what does social media look like when we're trying to help you accomplish those business goals? So then when you get that list, and it doesn't have to be a long list, but it needs to be a well-crafted, smart list that's going to help you get visibility for your business, but two, you're doing it with intention. So every post, every video, or any comment you leave online ultimately is for you knowing it is helping you get the visibility that you want with intention to be able to accomplish what you're trying to do and through your business. And when you have that at the forefront of your mind, it makes crafting that next post, or it makes trying to make the list of what your next 5 videos are going to be about, it makes it so much easier. Sometimes people like to say, don't reinvent the wheel if something is already out there. But the simplest thing I can tell you is it's this philosophy that I like to use, Judy, which is just say, where am I trying to go? Okay, now let me reverse engineer and let me work backwards of what that looks like to just make the things in my marketing just be a perfect little next step to make it easier for people to get to know us, to know that our authority and our expertise is truly visible. Because if you're sitting there saying that I'm this, or I'm a life coach, or my restaurant has like the best Italian food in Sacramento, but there isn't anything online that in any way supports that, or even just echoes that that's what you do, then there's a disconnect. So with intention, I want everybody listening to focus on getting more visibility.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that we overcomplicate it. For example, I'm getting really good at reading my clients' minds. So when you talk about what are your business goals, I want to make this really real and practical for those listening. So can you give us an example of the types of business goals that you think really need to be established so that we can reverse engineer?
Yeah. So one of my things, I like to keep things really simple. So if you've got multiple, or if you're struggling to go how many, I like to say you want to have at least 3 business goals that you have as a top focus. And one of those needs to have a revenue monetary amount included. You're not a hobbyist. You're not here doing a side hustle. If you want to be taken seriously, and if you're trying to grow and elevate and have like a thriving, robust business, then you need to be projecting like this revenue wise is what I am seeking. So one of those would literally to say, I have a goal to make $1 million this year in my business, or to be even more specific, I have a goal to have $1 million of profit in my business after all of my expenses have been made. And once you have that, then almost again backwards, do you have the offers to support that? Because it's a problem to go, my goal is to have $1 million, but the highest product offering that you have for your services is like, $50. Like there's a disconnect there.
Right. Okay, cool. Can I stress you? Can I ask for one more example of a business
Yes.
goal? So let me ask you this. Could it be something like, if you love speaking but you prefer to do it live instead of, through video, could that be a goal to say, I'm going to get on 5 speaker stages this year? Is that the type of business goal you're talking about, or is it a little bit different?
No, absolutely. So it's like everything that is a business goal should be aligned with what your focus is for that particular year. So yes, if it's getting on more stages, the right stages in front of the right audience, and it's not you just chasing vanity of going, look how awesome I am. But at the back end, you've spent $9,000 traveling to all the places in front of the wrong audiences, right? We want to be smart. But I would even be more specific as a business goal to say, I want to think big and I want to be on 15 stages. 5 of those stages may be podcasts, and then 10 of them may be like virtual, or maybe you do have the goal to say, I want to be on 3 in-person stages and 7 online stages.
Wow, I love that. And I appreciate the specificity because it helps us to stay focused and do things with intention, which we've just been talking about. It's really, really good. Let's talk about the importance of relationship building.
Yeah, I mean, I can't emphasize enough that, I would imagine that if anyone listening right now has been in business for any length of time, you have probably heard, and I know that this is true, people do business with people they like, they know, and they trust. And one thing I think that people are missing in their attempt to use social media is that they're just chasing like someone to be a social seller, to just hop in the DMs, to just try to accumulate this really big list, try to go back and get someone that's not you, or maybe not even in your voice, to have all these touch points. And I'm not saying that in and of itself is a bad strategy, but I'm just here to tell you that the relationships that you have with people in your life, both that are business relationships, as well as that 10th grade teacher that you had as your choir instructor 25 years ago, all of those relationships can be leveraged that can ultimately lead to you getting new business for what it is you do. So I like to encourage, like I've got, my book is The Golden Rules of Social Media Marketing, and it's based on this 6-part social framework. And one of those is the O in the word social, that stands for optimize relationships. So that is the people that you have like warm connections with, that they like you and know you and trust you just personally. But guess what? All those people that may never want to hire you or don't genuinely even need what you do, they all know people who have businesses, who may be the exact person, lead or introduction. And so I feel that when we on social have this heart and this mindset that says every week, I want to just be showing up. I want to be nurturing relationships. I want to be establishing new connections. If you're going to go to the effort to go to that Chamber of Commerce meeting, then say to yourself, I'm going to leave with 3 business cards of people that wow me, and I'm going to make the intentional effort to follow up with those 3 people every single month. Even if it's just me sending them a voice memo, asking them how their business is going. Because when we do those small little steps to nurture, to cultivate, and to build relationships with people, both in business and in life, it has a way of keeping us top of mind in this world that can really be busy for lots of people. And I think that that is just paramount to grow and be smart online.
Wow. I'm going to dig into this social framework. And you just gave the, I want to make sure we go through it all.
Okay.
But I want to emphasize that, chasing, if we're chasing anything, that just feels hustly, that just feels bad. And so ladies, I really want you, if you have not listened to my 3-part Pursue the Impossible series, go back up in this podcast right now and listen, because I spent all of January really trying to get you ladies to get your thoughts in line with your faith. And the faith is the foundation. That's why I talk about having your business be faith fueled, not just faith based. But if we have a thought of, I can't, or if we have this thought of, I need to hustle, I need to chase to get clients, that doesn't feel good. It's not true. We need to come from a place of power because of whose we are and who we are in Him.
Amen.
And so, we really need to stop the chase, because I don't know about you, Heather, but I suspect you're like me. And some of these crazy DMs are coming in, not just on Facebook, but even on LinkedIn anymore. It's crazy.
Yes, it's true. I mean, someone is out there teaching that this is great, but it's not a good sign when someone reads your DM and they literally go and immediately and they go like unfollow, unfriend, and block. Like that's a sign it may not be the right tactic.
Yeah, absolutely not. And the importance of the small things, even sending that DM with a good morning. So loved seeing you last night. I look forward to seeing you next month, or whatever the case is. Really, really good stuff. But let's talk about this social framework. So tell us more.
Okay. So, I mean, I could talk about each one of these for an hour, but for the sake of time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you there are 6 things that I believe are essential social media strategies if you want to use social media to create clients and have a thriving business. So the S stands for strong foundations. You must know what you do, who you serve, and how you can help them. And you've got to have that solid before you move on in your social media marketing, build your brand efforts, because otherwise you're making it very hard for yourself. So do I have this? If the answer is yes, rock on, you're great. And if you don't, it's a lot of people I'd say that minimize and trivialize it, and they make it seem like it's not a big deal, but I'm telling you, it impacts your messaging. It impacts the people that are going to resonate with you or be attracted to you. And you've got to get your strong foundations solid.
Yeah. And I would emphasize there, clarity, just what you're saying. You have to be crystal clear. And sometimes we try to be cutesy in calling ourselves, things or whatever, but then people are scratching their head like, what does she do? So I love it. Okay. So that's the S, the strong foundations. Great.
Yes. Okay. The O, which we just talked about, is optimize relationships. So just ask yourself, am I maximizing and optimizing relationships online? And just add to your weekly routine something that you could do every week to optimize those relationships, so you will be more top of mind.
Beautiful.
Okay. The C stands for choose the right platform. You don't need to be in all the places. You don't need to be doing all the social platforms. And I am also going to tell you, I don't necessarily want you to build all of your branding on one platform because you don't own it. But what I would say is you need to go, where's my audience? That's where I need to be on social media. And I want you to go all in and put 80% of your effort on one or two platforms, and then spend 20% of your time, if you are on additional platforms, and sprinkle it onto those. But too many people spread themselves so thin trying to be on 6 platforms that, if I'm being honest, they look average and mediocre and not like someone I want to hire, because they're not paying enough attention to their online brand and what that looks like.
That's so good. I would like to add one thing. I was just talking on the phone yesterday with a near 60-year-old woman on this issue of choosing the right platform. And she's catering to middle-aged women. And she was talking to me how much time she spent on a TikTok. And when I asked her, I said, really, that's interesting. And so you found that your clients are there. Basically, it was, well, not yet, but this other guy, he's also a life coach and he's doing really great. And I instantly thought one thing: why are we so quick to look at what somebody else is doing and think that that means you should be doing it too? Number one. And number two, sometimes you get followers, and what good is it? Because are they really your ideal client? Like, so we really have to be mindful. So that is so good. Choose your platform wisely. All right, we're at I.
Okay, so the I stands for influential content. So no matter what you do, service provider, coach, you have a product, you need to be adding to your social media marketing your influential content. What if there's something popular and wildly trending, let's say in the online space or in life or in politics, whatever it is, if it's relating to something that your ideal dream audience cares about, then it's actually smart marketing for you to almost like ride the coattails of that trending topic. But I encourage you, add what you think to it. Or if maybe someone you know that's brilliant, that they had a post that did wildly amazing, share that onto your page. But if you've got a caveat, or but I think that they left this out, or if that person said 7 things that are awesome, but you think number 2 is the best, and here's why, add that. Don't just allow your social media footprint to be retweets and shares of just what everybody else is doing. You need to make sure that you are adding your own influence with your expertise and your authority, and own it and really believe that you've got something that can genuinely help people, and it needs to be a part of your messaging.
Yes, you are a thought leader, ladies. You need to have that mindset that come from that place of authority, so that you're not just, I see it all the time where you're like, and it really kind of makes me crazy when people are quoting Tony Robbins, for example. And meanwhile, like you're a person of faith and you're quoting this guy who kind of believes crazy things. So I really want us to be careful with that. You have beautiful, powerful thoughts. Every single one of you do. You need to go to God and say, help me draw those out, Lord, because I'm not seeing it, and get it out there into the world. All right. So that was the I. We're up to A.
Yes. So A is automation and smart systems. So the automation part, just so nobody gets confused, is not putting all of your social on autopilot, mentally checking out, and never like showing up in real life. But what I do want you to do is to consider having some automation in place, so that if you have a desire to post 14 times a week, that maybe 10 of those are done and scheduled, and not mentally anything that's requiring any bandwidth out of your brain, because you batched it and you sat down and you had a system, or someone on your team has a system to take the 2-minute video that you made, then they turn that into 25 graphics, and then they go and schedule it. But what I want you to do is to have automation on some level. So some of your social media content is scheduled, so you can every day sit down and engage. Go look and see, oh, Judy just posted that she has a new podcast. I'm going to share that onto my page because my audience might benefit from that. Or I'm going to go and check my inbox and go, oh, someone has asked if they can have a discovery call with me. Because if you mentally are checking out on social and you're responding 2 days later, 2 weeks later, I'm just here to tell you whether this is right or wrong. I think this is where we are. We live in an instant gratification world. People want instant feedback. So you need to be saying, if I'm, quote, really wanting to make it seem like I care, if I'm really wanting to use social media marketing, you need to, or someone on your team needs to, just check the inbox every day. Check your notifications every day and respond to people and engage with people. And then the smart systems part of that is just genuinely on the back end saying, have I sat down and do I have a plan of what my content is? I do have a freebie later that I'll tell you guys if that's anything that you struggle with, but what are you doing on the back end to batch, have some processes and have some procedures in place that allow for you to lean in and stay in your areas of genius while also knowing your marketing is happening.
Exactly. And when you're talking in terms of automation, I'm thinking repurposing. When you have
Yes.
longer form content pieces, are you slicing and dicing, as Heather suggested, and making graphics and maybe shorter videos that you could just put out there? That's excellent. All right, we're at the last one. L, what does that stand for?
So the L stands for legacy and kingdom impact.
Ooh.
And so I just want everyone to really ask themselves, what am I doing in my business that's creating a legacy impact in my life? How is my business creating a kingdom impact in the world or in my community? And then I want to encourage you as a social media marketer is to ask yourself, am I including any messaging in my branding that tells that story of how I am making a legacy and kingdom impact? And I'll just share what, to Judy's point, here's a practical example. I had a friend who has a phenomenal 6-figure business who was looking to have a program that when she had a new person, they were going to get this amazing package that was like a calendar, that was a journal, that was a devotional, and all the things. So she was sourcing who to hire to help create that awesome thing. So it ultimately just got sent to the porches of everybody that joined. She had 2 companies that she came down to. Both had a friend that recommended them. Both had pretty websites. Both of them had people that were happy, and both of them had very comparable pricing. But one of them in their marketing on social and on their website said, we donate a portion of every single sale that we have to helping children in Guatemala be able to have medical care and to be able to do this. And this is a passion of ours. And that's something we want you to know, that if you purchase with us, this is something that you're doing, because that is something that we feel God's wanting us to do. And who do you think my friend chose? She chose the brand that in their marketing, not just on the behind the scenes. And again, I'm not saying that you want to sit there and toot your own horn, but she, as a decision maker, was trying to make a good, sound decision. And she went with the brand that included that they were making a legacy and kingdom impact. And it helped her buying decision. In fact, that's why that she ultimately chose them. So ask yourself, I may be doing things on the behind the scenes, but are you just keeping it a secret and you're not incorporating that in a way into your marketing, not in a boastful, prideful way of, well, look at me, but just, if anything, it might even encourage other business owners to maybe want to do business with you. It also might encourage other business leaders to be like, wow, that's fantastic. What are we doing to where we could make that contribution? And so that's why I think it's so important for everyone to just really just take some time to be reflective and say, are we doing this? If not, let's consider it. And if we are, incorporating that in a genuine, honest way that is able to really encourage your audience.
Yeah, that's so good, because it shows your heart, and it's not just words. It's not fluff. you're really standing behind what you say you believe in. So that's beautiful. All right. You alluded to a beautiful gift, which sounds amazing. And I think exactly what so many need. It's a 31-day social media content calendar, right?
Yes. So this has been our most popular freebie, so to say. We created it because we, in the midst of the done for you clients that we do their social media, as well as our own footprint online for the last 11 years, have really been able to see what gets engagement, what gets traction, what gets a two-way street dialogue going. So we've put this together, and it's something we'd happily be glad to send to anybody watching or listening. And you can head over to sweettsocialmarketing.com/content calendar, and we'll get it and send it right to you right away.
That's great. I know that's going to be a popular one already. I just see that. Well, Heather, thank you so much for sharing with us these 6 powerful strategies. And I really appreciate how you made it so practical. So just really wonderful words of wisdom. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Judy.
All right. Listen, ladies, thank you for listening. And if you've enjoyed this episode, and I'm sure you have, would you please consider subscribing so that you don't miss another one? And if you haven't yet left us a review, please take a moment and do so. Your feedback really does matter, not only for the algorithm, which I don't care about as much, but to make sure we know what you need so that we keep bringing you amazing interviews like this one and the content that you really need to scale your business. So once again, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.